It's all right, Lala. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our amazing program. I've got my co host here. We've got Bishop Joshua Sparks, Brother Joshua. We've got some amazing, my friends. I love them. Bishop Joshua loves them. How can you not
Absolutely.
love them? We got Bob McGwier. We got Lala Bright of Orbis Paranormal here with us. They are amazing. We're so happy you're here with us.
Yes, we
Well,
are.
we love the two of you, and we're happy to be here.
The last time, so like I've been on the show, your show, but and then Bishop Joshua was on your show, but this is the first time we're actually in the same four squares here,
Yep,
which I think it's amazing.
it's good.
And Brother Joshua, you have some really neat stuff. You want to kind of start this off for us? Why don't you take the floor?
Well, thank you, and it's good to have you both here with us tonight. It's interesting to be on this side rather than the one under the microscope, so to speak. But tonight we're diving deep into the shadows, beyond the veil of the everyday, and into the mysterious world of the unexplained. Joining us are two of the most intriguing voices in modern paranormal investigation. One is a man of science and spirit, a seasoned researcher who's walked the line between logic and legend, Dr. Bob. The other brings intuition, empathy, and a fearless heart to every haunted place she steps into, the ever enigmatic and electrifying Lala.
Oh my
And
God.
together, they are the dynamic duo. I can't even read my own writing. Behind Orbis Paranormal, where the unknown becomes known and the truth is often stranger than fiction. So please welcome to the show, Dr. Bob and Lala.
That was amazing.
Oh, thank you
my
for that
God.
introduction. We are
Wow.
honored to be on with the two of you. We really do love both of you.
We love you too.
Aw, this is
You
so
all are
awesome.
amazing.
What now?
I said they're amazing. Well, why don't we just go ahead and jump into asking
Yeah,
some
jump
questions?
in.
So people are wanting to know, they're wanting to get to know Orbis Paranormal. And the first question is, what inspired the creation of Orbis Paranormal?
Well, that's pretty straightforward. So, I lived in Alabama, and I had gone and visited Chris Bledsoe, and who lives in North Carolina, and he's a well-known experiencer, and he has all these orbs, and the stuff that's around him followed me home. And about 2 years after that, after we had shut down, COVID isolated everybody at home, and I had had heart attacks, so I sat in my home and I couldn't go out. I was stuck in my home with groceries delivered and all this other stuff for almost 2 years. And during that time, and so about 2 years into it, Lala, who had seen me on Spaced Out Radio, reached out to me because a spirit had gone into her ear and said, reach out to him, reach out to him. Because when that happens to her, it's like they drive her crazy until she does what they say. Okay, so she reached out to me and said, I'm told that your mother is passing, and after she passes, I will be glad to give you a reading. Well, then I called my brother, and he went over to my mother's nursing home, and that very day, they put her in hospice. So I went, oh, so I forgot all about it. So my mother was in hospice, and so she was steadily going downhill for 2 weeks. But like a lot of people who slowly go away, she rallied every now and again. But every time she rallied, she would interact with us, and all of our dead relatives that were in the room.
Wow.
And it really piqued my curiosity. So this is my long-winded way of saying, after the funeral and all that stuff got over and settled down, I reached out to her, and she did this reading for me, in which I went into it, the doubtful scientist, and I left it converted. It was, my mother made it absolutely clear, talking through her, that she was there. And soon I began to be able to feel my mother when she was around. I could smell her perfume, because something Lala had done in doing this reading broke the barrier, so the veil became semi-permeable, if you will. I mean, she could let me know when she was around. She makes a racket go off in my ear, then I'll smell the perfume and I know she's there. And then she can do a reading for me. So she did that reading, and when she did that reading, she told me all the stuff that only my mother and I knew, just to prove it was her. And at the end of the reading, she says, well, look, this little bossy woman has come up and is talking to me really fast. And her southern accent is so thick, I can't understand a word she's saying, except she keeps pounding, like virtually pounding on her desk, trying to get me to say this word. And I'm reluctant to say it because I don't know what it means. I said, well, go ahead and say it. I mean, what can you be but wrong? And she says she kept saying something that sounds like Tweety. So I went, oh my goodness. I said, she's about 5'2", right? And she says, yeah. And I says, okay. When I was 1, my grandmother would keep me for my parents, and she called me with Tweety, and I couldn't say Sweetie, so I called her Tweety. Oh. And that became her name.
Oh.
And Tweety followed her around for 2 weeks, would not let her alone until she interacted with me and said, your grandmother wants forgiveness. And, you know, it really got to me. And I got a big old lump in my throat and said, okay, I'm going to put all of that down. Tell her I forgive her. That's all in the past. And being a person of faith, it's all about asking for forgiveness and forgiving those who trespass against you. And I says, I forgive her and hope she said at that moment, she says, oh my goodness, her frequency just went up double. She's become bright and is happy. And so then Lala and I began interacting, and she kept telling me stuff that she had not told other people. And she basically had been in hiding for decades. Just been in hiding. She's been in hiding. Her abilities. What's that?
Me.
Is it your mother or your grandmother?
It was his grandmother that was called Tweety because he couldn't pronounce it. She had been passed for a while.
But Lala had been, so we began interacting regularly.
Okay.
Yeah, we began interacting regularly. And she started telling me stuff that she had in dreams. And of course, I recognized what these dreams were instantly, but she clearly had never talked to anybody about this stuff. So I let this go on for like 2 weeks and says, okay, I can tell you what this stuff is, but I'm going to send you some stuff so you know this is not me making crap up. This is showing you that this stuff is happening all over the place. You're remembering your alien abductions. You're remembering your interactions with other things. And she just kind of knew from the beginning that it was the truth. I mean, she was taking on crap, involved in hybridization experiments, been kidnapped by aliens since she was an infant, had talked to her deceased neighbor, showed her parents where the grave was because the deceased neighbor took her to the grave when their parents and she visited. And I went, okay. So anyway, we started talking a lot together. We started I helped her start her psychic business, and it just went from there. Became fell in love, moved in together, and decided to do the podcast so that others could talk to us. And then Grant Cameron wanted to put the two of us together in a group. So he started his orb research group and called it Orbology. And he says psychic scientist is going to bring a lot of stuff to orbs. And so orbs was it, and she's into the paranormal. So we got together with orbs for aliens and paranormal for her. So we called it Orbs Paranormal. And there you go.
Awesome.
My long-winded answer, telling you this long-winded story. But I find the story fascinating, how it happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's all like, and especially because you were literally not even really involved in any of this prior. It's the heart attacks and then meeting Lala. Lala just, I mean, yeah, that was like definitely, this was.
But you got to remember, I was set on the road by Chris Bledsoe, because after I got with him, I began having experiences.
Right.
But I was in hiding. I wasn't interacting because of COVID.
Wow.
There's a lot of strange things that went on during COVID.
So what do you think about that, Bishop Joshua, now that you've heard the story? Again, I've heard it. It's just amazing.
It is amazing. And it's almost something that you would hear like in a storybook. But it's real. It's real life. And it is amazing. Now, Lala, you was going to say something. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, well, just a second ago, that's why I was so scared to talk to people about my experiences before, because I'm a shy, boring person, pretty much. I mean, and the things that I experienced, it does sound like a story or a movie. It's just so crazy. And so I just kept it to myself. And one of the things I like now is that even though, sometimes we sound a little weird, there's always going to be somebody new popping up, watching your show, our show, and they'll go, okay, I experienced that too. So it's not just me. So it's comforting. That's a main reason I like us talking about this stuff and bringing on guests or going on shows. It's nice.
Right. And I mean, it's amazing how many people out there, they just hide everything and they don't talk to people. And I know even with my work, like I actually feel kind of like I'm actually now kind of really coming out and talking about the things that I do, because for the longest time during my stay with when it all happened at Medicine Wheel, when I was there working as this person, we didn't talk about it. I mean, I just was in my cocoon. We did not share it out. I wasn't even on social media then, just a little bit, but so I I just think it's a blessing that I was brought into this place and with people like yourselves, and then meeting Bishop Joshua and Archbishop Ron, because I always just assumed they would be like, no, but they're not. They're open to all of this. So I'm so grateful.
Well, I'm very lucky that I had the father I did, because he was a saintly man. He was a social justice warrior, absolutely fearless. Absolutely fearless social justice warrior. And he never shied away from anything, but he also, me and my 4 brothers, we decided for ourselves. We were not made to believe things. We were allowed to explore, and then later all of us returned home.
Right.
That's the way it's supposed to be. My both of my sons will tell you that they have faith in Jesus Christ, not because their dad's a international preacher, but because they have their own private relationship with Christ, their own personal relationship.
Exactly.
And it's, and I think that's important because it's real. It's not nothing that's, it's not a have to, it's a want to. So I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your dad for being a voice for the voiceless. I feel like that too. I stand up for people that are displaced socially and that are looked down on. I work in addiction recovery, so I'm a voice for a lot of people that the world's forgotten about. And we just baptized 8 precious souls at a funeral. We was doing a funeral. One of our coworkers died, and I was preaching, and had 10 people give their life to Christ. Nine of them was baptized. I'm sorry, 9. So, God's doing a great work among the group of people there. But there's a lot of people who are afraid to talk, are afraid to share their experiences. There's over 8 billion people on this planet. And, Bob and Lala, you all, Mercedes, these platforms give people assurance that they can talk about the things they've experienced without being ostracized, without being looked down upon and made fun of. So this gives millions of people a voice, right?
Oh, yeah. It's important.
I want to say hi to Lorraine. She's here with us tonight.
Oh, hi, Lorraine.
So it's great. I hope a lot of people, this is still such a new show that it's great that we're building our audience. So thank you, Lorraine, for being here with us. We appreciate you. So what's our next topic? Because you have all this written down, Bishop Joshua.
Oh yeah, it's funny though. They answered like a bunch of questions in one segment. So
she's reading your mind before you got going.
Yeah, she probably is. She can probably see exactly what I'm looking at. But I do have a specific question. Is there a particular philosophy or approach that sets Orbis Paranormal apart from other investigative groups?
I think it's because we touch on every topic, every subject. Because I think it's all of it is part of our world that we're living in. Even though we can't see it most of the time, they're there. So I like that we branch out and we get information from all different types of things I didn't even know about, honestly. I had no clue.
I did it to get her out of her shell, and that's what I did. I'll be telling you straight, boy. I did it. I had no interest in it. I did it because I wanted to get her out of her shell. But now, let me tell you what I found. She picks the guests, and she does it by inspiration. She does it by inspiration. It's kind of amazing. So every now and again, I'll suggest a guest, but she finds them by inspiration.
Well, what do you think sets our show apart from others?
Well, first of all, we don't come in with an axe to grind or an agenda.
That's true.
This is no politics, no you're a liar, you're a fake, you're not. This is a place for you to feel comfortable to talk.
And we might not agree with everybody. First of all, they'll never know anyway. We're always polite about it. Because I want to hear what I might not agree, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. That just means I don't see it that way, which is very rare. Usually I agree with everything, what I hear so far. But I don't want anybody to come on and feel like they're getting picked on or, because that sets the stage for the rest of their life with sharing their information with other people. They might not want to. I've had that happen on shows before where they made me feel like, it just wasn't that great. And it kind of scared me a little bit from sharing anymore. This was when I first started talking publicly. But yeah, so that was a point. I wanted to make sure that everybody with every topic could say whatever they wanted as long as they were polite and, true. They came from a good intentions. And so.
Yeah, I think people can feel that we're genuine, that we're not selling anything. We're not asking anybody for money. We're not in it for money. We're not trying to make money on this at all. I mean, we're on a bunch of different streaming channels, like 8 or 9 of them now, but we haven't monetized any of them.
So I wanted to bring in more of energy work. I kind of get stuck in the paranormal stuff and the alien stuff. I would like to bring in energy healing and things like that.
I've watched her do live readings. and leave people in tears. I mean, so it's just because the ability, when she gets over her initial shyness, which takes like 2 minutes, and she gets into the flow, and you can always tell when she's into the flow because she looks up and to the right, and her spirits are talking to her from up there on the right. And then it's like, boom. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant. And so we record them so that people later can go back and review them because the content is so rich.
I think it's important, Lala, what you're doing, and Bob, both of you, because I really enjoy watching your show. I watched it today, and even today, I mean, what that woman was saying, I mean, it's obviously that guest has had this since she was a child, and it's been communicating. So I found it to be a very fascinating conversation that you were having, and she was talking about.
And it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe the things she says that you're able to go out and find 100 other people saying the same things about how awful our government has acted. It's awful the things they've done to people.
Well, I didn't know she was part of MK Ultra or any of that. I had no clue.
She was literally tortured as a child because the trauma induces psychic abilities.
Right.
They learned that from the Nazis, and they started practicing it.
Mm. I mean, it's really. I mean, it's really. I don't know. It's kind of like, well, I'll just plug the book a little bit, but we, have the new book. And Lala, I wanted to make sure Lala and Ann Bender could be a part of that part about the remote viewing in that case in Connecticut. But I knew going into this that it's like kind of taking the chance because, you're putting that stuff out there, what your abilities are. But I believe that I have grown into where I'm able to understand things and I can handle things. But like like that woman today, I don't know her, I can't remember her name, but if you think about how she's had to endure all these things, it's like but it's like when I think Lala, myself, and Bender, those three names, I think that we have a strong core that whatever happens, like if, we're not going to be swayed by anybody that's talking about, well, hey, you guys are liars, or, I mean, it's not about lying. It's about picking up the things that are happening. And if it can help somebody, then that's what's important. And I think that Lala and I both were on the same page for sure when we were looking into that. So I just want to share that about her gifts. And I'm really honored that she's in the book, and it's out now. So it's like I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to talk about it more. But I really appreciate that.
Where is there a website? Where do you get the book?
Well, I'm just getting it all. It's all, you can buy it on Amazon. That particular book is on ebook. But I mean, it's all just coming in. We just got on Ingram Spark. So I mean, it's already out. I mean, it's across the country now, like in other countries. So,
wow.
So it is kind of neat, but I know that that's kind of like putting that out there, So, but I know and trust that God will, keep people safe. I mean, the main thing to me is about letting people know that these abilities are real, and it's how you use these gifts that is important, and to protect yourself. Like that woman, we don't want to end up like that. We want to be protected with God and strong, And I know I'm sitting here talking, I'm thinking about Bishop Joshua's wanting to say something.
I'm listening.
What do you think about that when we talk about remote viewing and things like that? You remote view. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, you literally remote view yourself. You are transplanted just like I get into a place. Now, you've talked about that before. I mean, I think Lala's that way too. And maybe even Bob.
What he said blew me out of the water. It was awesome what he can do, really. So you should tell everybody.
What? Oh,
No,
about
his abilities that are amazing, really.
what now?
I said he has abilities that are amazing. They really are.
Yeah, I mean, like that one where you were walking, something about all of a sudden you're put in a hospital and you're
Oh yeah.
seeing the person that is dying or has died, and you went and tell the story. It's amazing.
Well, I was standing at a payphone. Those of you that are on this panel
What?
tonight
What's
know what
that?
a payphone is. Some of the younger people may not know what a payphone is. Uh, I mentioned it to our girls in class, and they're looking at me like sometimes like a
Oh my
payphone. What are you talking about? Is that like a pay-as-you-go phone? No. um, I told them, I said, there used to be only one left in West Virginia, and that's where I used to go change when I turned into Superman. But the older I got and the fatter I got, it took me 20 minutes to get ready, so they finally knocked it down. But no, I was standing in a hospital with an angel, the angel that always accompanies me in my visions. And I'm on the payphone, and the doctor is wheeling out this gentleman on a hospital bed, and his face is covered up. He'd had brain surgery, and he died on the operating table. And his family was screaming and crying. And the angel said, "Hey, pray for him." And I'm like, "Whatever, man. He's dead. Whatever." And he pushed me. He said, "Wait a minute. He's not dead. He's still in here." So I turned around, I hung the phone up. I don't even think I was talking to anybody. That was just my way of distracting myself from paying attention to what was going on. Um, and I turned around and looked at the doctor and the hospital staff and the family, and I said, "Can you all stop a minute and let me pray?" And they just had this look on their face like, "What? This guy has to be crazy." Well, I am crazy, I guess. So we prayed for this man, and he sat up in the bed, came back to life, and his family grabbed him and embraced him. And then I was no longer there. That happens a lot. I had a cousin that was in the hospital as a baby. He was born. He was in NICU. I walked into my bathroom to use the restroom, and I was transported from my body to Cabell Huntington Hospital. And I went in the hospital room and prayed for that little baby, seen how he was laying, seen the tubes in his body, and the nurses even came in. I prayed so loud, and before I left, God told me, tomorrow the doctor's going to come in. He's going to begin to get better. They're going to call him a miracle baby. And then boom, I was back in my body, back in the restroom, taking care of business. You know what I mean? I don't have to go into any detail there. And the next day, turned around, they called him a miracle baby. So I've had lots of experiences like that just in church Sunday night. I had my hands raised praising the Lord, and I seen these two great big huge doors, 20-foot tall doors, slam in my face. And I turned around, and these doors opened, and on the other side of these doors was this beautiful palace and this beautiful sunshine. It looked like the sun. And that sun came out of that palace and came to me and came and stood in front of me. I knew it was the Lord. And that was God showing me he closes doors no man can open, and he opens doors no man can close. Because I'm entering into a new phase of my ministry, one that I knew that would come eventually, but it's here, and it's the season. Just like it's the season for so many people that's watching this broadcast tonight. It's your season for you to talk about your experience. Me and Mercedes, Bob and Lala, if you've had an experience, why don't you reach out to us? We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have you come on the show if you'd like. Tell your experiences that you've had, because we want to hear. These things are miraculous that are happening, and they happen all over the world.
Oh yeah.
I have a question I wanted to ask you all. This is something that's really been because I know we've talked about different things in the past, but what is and I know inquiring minds want to know this as well. What has been your scariest or most unexplainable encounter to date?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you go first. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I had to ask it.
Are you ready? Okay. I think. Oh my God, there's one. Let me get the best one. Okay. Well, there's a couple. I'll do. When I
Share
was,
them both.
You can do both of them.
Yes, please.
When I was younger, I lived in a house that was like 100 and some years old, and my dad he did Reiki, but he was in a group that practiced magic. I found out, And I think the leader lady was, I think something was attached to her. She was nice, but anyway. So he would come home and teach me different things, and I was young and I just was messing around. And I remember I had a coloring book. I probably shouldn't tell myself, but whatever. I had a coloring book and it had a little witch on it. And I got one of my mom's sewing pins. I put it in the cartoon witch, and I sat in Indian style and I put my fingers a certain way. It's like I knew what to do. I don't know why. And I said, "Does this hurt the witch?" I was really young, by the way. And all of a sudden, a male voice said, "No," from upstairs. And it terrified me. And when I looked down, the pen was on one leg and the book was on the other leg. Something had moved it. And so I grew up Catholic, so I read the Bible for like months straight. And I normally didn't. So I was just trying really hard. But, I've noticed that one time I was angry at my dad. I was also under 10 because he would travel a lot. And I said, I wish his plane would crash. I was stupid. And a male voice said, "Be careful what you wish for it may come true." And that's true. You have to be cautious of your words and your thoughts. And I know that sounds weird, but you bring energy to you, and it creates the world around you. It really does. My dad would always tell me that. And I never believed him, but it's true.
You cannot believe how disciplined she is about this. So she's human. I'm human. We make mistakes, but she always goes, "Cancel. I'm taking this back. It was a mistake."
Yeah.
So every single time, she just won't let the negative last.
I think I take advantage when I'm driving because I'm like, "F you," and then like, "Cancel respectfully, never mind." Just like awkward, so I have to work on it.
She's definitely from Baltimore, but she cancels it as soon as it comes out of her
They
mouth.
don't hear me saying it, so it doesn't really count.
Well, I've driven in Baltimore, so hopefully you don't still drive that way, do you?
I'm good now. I do back roads, pretty horses, and animal that can look at.
So I was at the freshman at the University of Alabama, and I had a roommate from both of us from Alabama. I didn't know him; he didn't know me, but he had this book that he was reading on witchcraft. And I heard him mumbling something. I says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm trying to get a visitor." And he kept mumbling with this weird language. And then the room went dark, and this cold thing came in. And I went, "Bud, you better never do that anywhere near me again." The very next morning, I got out of bed, went straight to the dormitory guide, and got another room and another dorm.
Wow.
I'm telling you what, it felt like the devil had entered the room.
Well, that's good that you knew what to do and that you instinctively got out of that situation. That's amazing.
Ooh, that scared the crap out of me.
People make pacts with the devil all the time. They make contracts with the devil. And sometimes those generational contracts carry on through a family. That's why some families have a lot of money. Some families are billionaires. I believe that there in some cases that they do get the money. Honestly, they work for it. But sometimes it has to do with some kind of a pact or a vow made many years back in families that's got old money. And I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want them to come knocking on the door. Of course, I'm not afraid if they do that because the men in black won't even come to my house. They see all the stuff I got on my phone, but they don't even show up anymore. Everything's out in the open now. The government admits that aliens and UFOs are real. So why send them in? I wonder what they're doing now. That's probably why they're like on a hiring freeze at some of these like Amazon and other places. That's where all these guys have went to work. They had to get an honest job, right?
Well, Bob, today I'm wondering, like with your job, I mean, you were pretty much involved with some high up government things, right? So
Yep.
were you privy to knowing before you actually became interested? Were you privy into knowing about the UFOs and things prior?
Nope, I was not involved in the UFO legacy stuff, but I now know that people I knew were. Okay,
Oh.
so when stuff started coming out, occasionally they would go, here, look at this. And so there's a lot of that goes on. People want to talk and they talk. And so I got told stuff that I wasn't supposed to be told, but I never did anything with it. I certainly didn't blab about it. And then I went, but my curiosity was piqued. So I went and visited Chris Bledsoe because I'd heard. Okay, so I reached out to Chris, said I'd like to come over, and the former senior executive at the CIA who was in the clandestine service at the CIA said, "Oh, Bob McGwier? Yeah, let him come over. This ought to be interesting." And so he and I had not talked about stuff, and now I know he had experiences at home with his wife, and he's into this stuff now to investigate, trying to figure out what's going on, because he and his wife have never emotionally gotten over it. And so he's been the person who helped Chris Bledsoe deal with the negative of being a UFO experiencer more than anyone else. And he's brought in government people, and they are interacting with Chris. And you can clearly tell what's going on is they're trying to figure out how to get in touch with them and interact with them so they can talk to them to figure out what's going on, because Chris can definitely talk to them, whatever they are.
Oh, real quick, can I tell one more scary story? How scary can I go, by the way?
As scary as you want to get.
I mean, okay, I'm just saying. I think the scariest as an adult was, well, when I lost my parent. Well, my dad died first, and for some reason, I was cleaning out his room. He passed in his bedroom, and I went to Florida to help my mom because she was handicapped. She's very smart, but she was physically handicapped. And I'm cleaning my dad's room, and I moved his crystals from the windowsill, which he never used to do. And I swear, as soon as I moved these things, like all hell broke loose paranormal wise. I remember boxes, like my parents, they love cats, so they get these big boxes of cat food, and all of a sudden they piled, like 3 or 4 piled on top of each other in the doorway so that I couldn't get through, and the cat is just looking up at something. And then one of their other cats, this cat never messed with me. It was just very nice. The eyes turned black, and it started slowly coming towards me and growling at me, and that's really scared me. I hid in my mom's room, and she had to yell at it. It never did it again, but that night, my best friend at the time said that I called her at like 3-something in the morning and left a voicemail. And it shows on my phone that I did call her, but I don't remember, and it wasn't my voice. It was like a man's voice, but like growly kind. It was just, so one back to back to back. And then that's when I started having these nightmares of this man in my dream. And he would tell me when someone would die. And they did. They would die eventually, like within a month or to a year. And Mercedes helped me with this, actually.
Wow.
But remember when you were, and my lights in my bed, just on my side of the lamp, started to flicker. And my puppy dog, who never growls, started to growl. So she was doing something to help. And it got annoyed, I guess. Anyway, it went away for a while. And then a couple weeks ago, it started showing up in my dreams again.
Oh,
and
wow.
But this time I could fight back, and I kept saying no. And I always ask God for help in my dreams. Somehow I just know to do it. Normally I don't do that, I believe in God, but I just normally don't do it when I'm awake. And in my dreams I do, and that's when I wake up. But when I woke up this time, the bottom half of me was lifted up off the bed, and the top part of me was to the bed. And I woke him up. I didn't tell him why, but it just scared the crap out of me. So that's to date the scariest thing.
Has there been is there an anniversary of somebody passing away last couple of weeks that you remember, or anything like that?
In April, it was my son's my boyfriend's birthday.
Oh, that's right.
So I don't know. we have a lot of activity at the house too.
You do have a lot of talk about
Oh
that.
my goodness! So we're now getting lights. We're now getting orbs in our bedroom that you don't need the infrared night vision camera from. She just holds up her phone, and the white orbs fly in front of the phone,
Yeah.
and the room is lit. Yeah, we got all sorts of spirit orbs in our bedroom.
But they're the nice ones. They're good.
They don't bother us.
Well, they're everywhere. You know.
But they are definitely in our bedroom. Whoa.
It's better than the portal on the wall. I really do. Anyway.
You know, it's amazing though, and it's been weeks since I've seen anything in the sky. I seen something the other night, and I tried to record it, but it was taken off. It was leaving. It's been cloudy around here. We've had rain for a week and a half, so I haven't been able to see anything in the sky. But my sister came over yesterday and was talking to my dad. She's a school teacher. And she told me that her school's haunted. She's been saying this for years. And, of course, I'll go over there and I can feel things. But, I just used to laugh it off as being her having an overactive imagination. I'm an older brother, so I have to pick on her, right? Comes with the territory. Well, she talked about people over there at the school seeing the dark man with the top hat.
Oh, God.
So she's talking about wanting me to come over there and pray. And I said, you know what? We'll come over there and kick his butt and run him out of the school. And immediately when I said that, something hit up against the side of my house, just as hard as it could hit. And we run outside, me and Dad and my sister did. And there's nothing out there. And she left, and we came back in here, and you could feel the air wasn't blowing or anything, but you could feel the air like a spiritual wind of protection blowing around us. I don't know if she bought something from the school with her that's following after her, but we're going to hopefully go over there this weekend and kick some butt.
Well, it sounds like you better.
There's three different types of shadow people from what I've heard. There's the Hat Man, then there's the one where it has no legs but the upper body, and then there's one with the full body. I don't know why they're different like that. But
This shadow man, because that's like a big part of the documentary. What we saw here was the shadow man, and other people, as I researched the neighbors or the different people, I mean, it was shocking that they were seeing the same thing we were seeing. So like in our country area, so somebody a mile away in their house was seeing the shadow man. And a lot of it with us, they were saying they could smell cigarette smoke, which we've smelled, and no one smokes here. So luckily he hasn't been here since and I haven't had any bad dreams since the last exorcism that Bill Bean did. I had a really weird dream. I think it was about, I don't know, it was like 6 weeks ago where I woke up screaming, and I haven't done that in all that time. Like I was screaming and Joe was waking me up. So I, like Lala, I mean, I was saying in there, I knew how to just talk. I can see them before. Somehow I was talking to them, but it hasn't happened again. Mm-hmm. But why is it they're always the same? They always have I talked with Brent Thomas about this too, and he was talking about how he has visits, and his son and his younger son, as they get to a certain age, then the shadow man with the top hat visits once they hit a certain age group.
Yeah,
isn't that weird?
Well, he shows up in several different ways. He shows up in what's called sleep paralysis episodes. Yeah. A lot of people report seeing the Hat Man. They call him the Hat Man. Some people do during sleep paralysis. And, that's when a person's mentally awake but physically unable to move. And he often invokes intense fear and dread and malevolence. And then there's paranormal encounters where some believe that he is a spiritual entity or demonic presence. Some say he's an interdimensional being. And he some people say, well, he was feeding off my negative energy, like fear or trauma. A lot of people that have severe trauma, a lot of people in drug-induced psychosis sees the Hat Man. And it's a worldwide phenomenon. It's across cultures. It's not just in America. It's not just in Britain. It's everywhere. So people talk about him everywhere, and they see him everywhere now. Bob could help us out from a scientific, psychological standpoint.
I'm telling you, there's some kind of energetic thing going on, but I can't think of a single science thing you could say about it other than we don't know how it works.
Well,
I mean, look, we have no idea how consciousness works. So how are we going to know how other conscious entities work? We don't have a clue.
The brain is virtually
inadequate.
Right. And the brain's virtually untapped, really. It's an undiscovered world that science has not even been able to crack yet, really. A lot of people, they get scared of this guy. They feel like he's watching them. And, urban folklore calls him the boogeyman. Sometimes he's called Slender Man, right? And, different variants of him. This guy appears in different cultures and stuff. But, somebody asked me one time, they said, well, what is your opinion on it? I said, well, my opinion is we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. I know exactly what he is. And if he comes and he brings fear, he's not here to help. He's here to harm. And he's got to go. We got to get rid of him. Anything that's malevolent, anything that comes to hurt or to put fear in your heart can't be good. And we've got to do our best to combat against them and get rid of them.
I saw a shadow person twice, but the first time I was in my early 20s, and I was in my bedroom, and all of a sudden, a light appeared on the wall in front of me, and it was very bright and tiny, and then it got really narrow and really long, and this shadow dude slipped out, and his face was sideways, his body was front ways, but he didn't have legs, so like belly button up, and he slid into the darkest room in my downstairs area bedroom, and I usually I would have screamed and run, but I went right to bed, which is really weird. I think I don't know if I passed out or what. I don't remember. But I remember from then on until I moved, I felt someone sit on the bed with me or like crawl up. It was that, and I'd never experienced that before. It was crazy. But that house was built on Indian. It was the English and the Native American 1918. Anyways, one of the bloodiest battlegrounds in Maryland, Sparrows Point, Maryland. And of course, they had the boathouse there, and that's where ours was. So it was great. But yeah, we all moved out. Even my parents, my mom never really believed in this stuff. It creeped her out, some of the stuff that happened there. So they built on a land they shouldn't have, I think,
Right. So much of that happening. I mean, it's our land included. And I'm sure that even the land that your house is on right now, I mean, as much activity as you guys have in that area, I mean, there's bound to be something with the land. Is there water by there by chance?
Yeah, well, the Susquehanna River is a mile from here, and the Susquehanna Native Americans lived here. This is Native American land here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what. There's a lot going on there. And then
same here.
Yeah, and then yours, your land where you're at, you're in the same house, Bishop Joshua. That you're in the same house, right? When you were a kid,
next door.
Next door.
But yeah. And we're close to the river, and the Hopewell Indians lived here, and they were killed out by the Shawnee. Their burial mounds are in our park, but they were killed out, many, many years ago between the Shawnees and the Cherokee.
Everybody was killing everybody back then.
They was, and my grandfather, who was one of the Cherokee chiefs, Chief Sizemore, George Sizemore, he believed in peace. But our family didn't end up walking the Trail of Tears. They fought and they stayed in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. So I lost a lot.
My dad's family, they were from Hale County, Alabama, and they lived in Moundville. And Moundville is called Moundville because there's a 12,000-year-old Native American city, the oldest one known in the continental United States, and they built mounds. And so they're mounds, Native Americans, and at the bottom of these mounds were burial places for the royalty from the Native American. And these mounds cover very large area. It was a city. And so we dealt with Native American stuff nonstop.
And also, where we live now and where I used to live before in Maryland, there are certain government places. There's Lucke, Martin is near here, Aberdeen Proving Ground, and something else. And I feel that they know where they're going to be placed for a reason because they're doing certain things. Look, I've seen things fly out of there that I'd never seen fly in the sky before, plus orbs and UFOs. So I think they find, was it landlines or
Ley lines, but I don't know if there are any ley lines there. I don't know. I know this. I know we had triangle UFOs fly right over us going to Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
So,
I see those too. The triangular. I see them.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
They're huge. It's pretty fascinating, and they're
Well,
quick.
I would say the one I didn't believe for the longest, but now I'm the most certain of is we were driving down the road, and there was this gigantic cloud that was kind of looked like fog over a gigantic saucer, and you can see the edge of the saucer in the cloud, and that is just the most amazing picture.
Yeah.
Well, I remember y'all, wasn't that just recently that you posted that? Or
No, I was like, well, I posted it recently, but that was like 2 years ago.
Oh,
Do I have time to share one more thing real quick?
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I shared the story about how years ago, it's kind of like that. I drove under a huge UFO. It was hiding in a cloud and it was black metal, no lights, but I saw these strange, looked like big pipes intertwined with each other, but they were as wide as the helicopter that had a spotlight on it. Anyway, this year, I found it was somebody. There was a couple that came on our show. I can't remember their name, but whatever. They're very nice. They saw the same thing the same night, an hour after I did on the East Coast. Because I said, "Did you happen to see anything weird underneath?" And they said it to a T. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I gotta tell you, I'll find out who they are, and I'll tell you guys. You can talk to them because they have a show too about paranormal stuff and UFOs. So,
Wow.
I got sick when they both drove under it. He got a lot of health issues afterwards. So sometimes that does that to people. I don't know why.
Our most recent big UFO was she does these art gigs on the weekend, and we were driving home from Pennsylvania or Western Maryland. I can't remember. Anyway, but we got into Harford County, and we were all like 10 minutes from home. And I said, "Oh, that plane is pretty far away from BWI to be flying over here." I says, "Why is it there?" Then I look, wait a minute. It doesn't have any wings. Wait a minute. I can't see any engines. And the tip was black, and it was silver and long. So I went down to get my phone to come up and take a picture, and it was gone. And it was a cylindrical UFO. And we were way away from BWI. We were on the wrong side of Baltimore for BWI. I mean, my brain wasn't actually engaged, but it was a UFO.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like crazy. And by the way, congratulations, Lala, on all of your good work you're doing with the balloons and the crafts you're doing. That's a good business.
Thank you. I
It
love it.
really is. And she's having fun.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's nice, and my son gets to come and help because he's almost 6 foot now. So he's only 15, but he's gonna be super tall like his dad. And so he helped me put up the balloons and make them, and I like that. I like getting time to spend with him. Makes me happy because he's a teenager, so mom's not as cool, but we get that time together. It's really nice. So I like that.
That's nice. That's
That
what
time
I
together is special.
Fair.
My oldest boy will be 24, and the other day he was laying in the bed. He was tired, and I walked in there and laid down beside of him. He let me hold him like he used to when he was a baby, and I scratched in his head until he almost fell asleep. So I love moments like that. Makes me feel like I'm still needed as a dad.
Yep.
Sweet. That's important that they that lets you know that you're a good parent because they can feel vulnerable enough to go back to that innocent space that they used to be at, even though they're an adult now. A lot of kids can't do that or won't do that. So that's a compliment to you, you know. And I'm always yelling at myself, "You have snuggle time, man, the puppy, let's go." But no, we're not.
Well, I have one more question I want to ask you all. It's pretty important too. What is the emotional toll of what you do? Do you ever have to step away? I know you all are involved in this. It's like us. It's 24/7. But what do you do? What do you do self-care wise when it gets too overbearing, when the burden becomes too much to bear?
I like to drink a bottle of whiskey. No, I'm kidding. I don't drink.
She doesn't drink a drop.
What do you do?
I don't know. We go out and play pool or go to a movie or, we just spend time with each other.
And honestly, maybe was an introvert. Is that I withdraw for a little bit and just do my own thing just to collect myself. It makes me feel better to get my own energy back, and then I'll go out and do something productive. But
we're very comfortable with each other.
Too comfortable.
There's no way you could spend 7 days a week, 24 hours a day with somebody and not be at each other's throats, and we're just not.
That's good.
We're just not.
We have our own.
I wish I could.
Yeah, we do our own thing. Like I am constantly diving into some new science, research, engineering thing, and so I'm constantly doing that. And now I'm part of Skywatcher and going to do that stuff and see if we can figure out some interesting data that's independent from the government about UFO. So I'm involved, and she's doing her stuff and with this art, and then people know her as a psychic and they engage her. And so,
well, you have a conference you're going to go to for Skywatcher, right?
I'm having my first official meeting with Skywatcher at a conference this coming weekend.
Sweet.
Wow.
That'll be awesome. You have to give us a full report.
I will do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
Now, one more thing I want to ask, because we got about 2 or 3 minutes left, and I think that this is, I don't know, I'm kind of quirky, Do you have any pre-investigation rituals or superstitions that you do?
You want to go?
No problem.
Definitely always imagine, whether you believe it or not, imagine a white protective, godly light around you, or however you want to say it. Put a protection around you. Some people like to bring gemstones with them, whatever. It's the power of your thoughts and beliefs will save you, literally. So I like to surround myself with a white light from the.
I meditate and ground.
Yeah, I can't do. I have ADD, but that's a good one. That's good.
But I love walking barefoot in the grass, so it's not a problem. I'm from Alabama.
Just make sure that you say nothing with ill intent is allowed.
Yes.
To, bother me or stalk me or hide around me. You have to be very particular with your words.
I'm so worried about everybody and their brother wanting to do CE5, go out and invoke stuff to come and visit them. And they don't have a clue what they're asking for. They don't know how to say, I don't want any bad anything. If you got bad intention, don't come near me. Because there's free will involved in all the stuff you get in trouble with and all the stuff that can do good for you. You've got to invoke your agency to protect yourself. Yeah, it's imperative. And I was dumb for years and didn't do it. She was dumb and she got an attachment. So what can I say? We now know better.
Yeah, you live and learn that. I had to do that when I when I walked into Walmart today. I was like, force shield up.
Right? Yeah.
Well, you definitely got to a Walmart because that place is full of evil spirits.
Yeah, so I'm like, scan, and I'm like, force shield.
Yeah, full of evil spirits and a lot of crazy, especially this being the first of the month when all the Kens and Karens come out. You know what I mean?
Ooh, and you cannot even believe what they wear in that place.
Oh, I know.
Oh my God, I know. Like, oh my God.
Nobody has any I mean, don't you care a little
People
bit more
aren't
about
modest
yourself
anymore.
than to
People have
wear
no
your?
modesty.
I
No.
feel like Walmart is you're at your best friend's in your best friend's living room, and it doesn't matter. And then Target is, you gotta step it up a notch.
Yeah, when you go
Like
when you go to Target, you have to behave.
Mhm.
Well, I don't ever behave when I go. That's why Melissa don't let
No,
me go out in public. She makes me stay at home.
we have become big fans of delivery,
DoorDash.
DoorDash and delivery. Walmart delivers.
Wow, that's a smart idea.
It's awesome.
Well, I guess we probably should do our last part here. Like, what is going on? So we know that you've got a conference, and what else do you have, you guys, coming up? Do you have another special show you're going to be on? Do you have a special guest? What's going on in your life in the next 6 weeks?
Ray Hernandez coming on the show.
Ray Hernandez, who is free and well-known experiencers coming on, and there was 6'5" tall black guy on Piers Morgan 2 weeks ago talking about his testimony and other things in the P. Diddy trial. And he's a celebrity security guy, but I figured out some stuff about him. He's got a photographic memory, and he's an experiencer. And his name is Big Homie, and he'll be on our show tomorrow.
Oh, sweet.
Wow.
That ought to be really
He
interesting.
was a bodyguard like Lady Gaga, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah. You named some big names, and he has been a bodyguard.
So, but he's into like Bigfoot and demons and aliens, so it's going to be very interesting.
It will be, you want people to know this happens to all sorts of people. And that's just a perfect example. Somebody with all that stuff going on for them, and they still have weird experiences.
Well, he works with elite people, so there's all kinds of
weird.
weird.
Yeah. Hollywood elites, he's going to see all sorts of weird stuff.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're like, Well, that sounds good, though. It sounds like you got some good guests, and you got your conference. Lala's got her stuff going on. It's exciting. Very exciting.
Conference?
Not anytime soon, but coming up.
Okay.
I'm doing. Chris Bledsoe and I are going to get together sometime soon. Right now he's very busy. The government's driving him crazy, and his book is selling like hotcakes. He's trying to land a movie deal and all this other stuff. So he's busy, but I still want to go see him.
We think it'd be great if you guys all came on. He could come on too. That would be really neat.
He's very nice.
He
He really
He's
could.
a sweetheart. He is such a sweet man.
Awesome.
Well, I'll reach out to him and say, "Hey, I've heard of you."
He'll talk to you. He's very
Oh yeah, he's very approachable.
Well, thank you both for being here.
Yes.
I think it's been wonderful. I wish we could keep going, but I'm sure
I do
Stan
too.
is probably very tired. Our producer. Thank you, Stan.
Stan's amazing.
Who's Stan? Hold on.
He's our producer.
Yeah, he's our producer. Stan
Okay.
Fikes. He's
All right.
awesome.
Yes,
They're
he
in
is.
Alabama. He's in Alabama too. Stan
Yeah.
Fikes is in Alabama. Well, thank you so much. Let's do our prayer, Bishop Joshua. You get to say it.
All right. Well, let's all pray. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your presence and your word that lights our path. Cover us with your divine protection as we go our way. Guide our steps, guard our hearts, and lead us in truth. Shine your light upon us that we may not stumble in darkness. Fill us with your love, that we may reflect it to others. Surround us with your peace and let your spirit rest upon us. In the name of Jesus, our Savior and Shepherd, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And be sure, everybody, to check out Orbis Paranormal, check out Lala Bright, put in Bob McGwier, and
Yes.
they're just wonderful. As you know, we've watched them today. If you're going to see this today, tonight, tomorrow, next month, next year, be sure to look them up. They're awesome, and we're so appreciative of them being here. Also, be sure to tune in every Saturday for the Unseen Realm with Bishop Joshua and I are both on that program with Archbishop Ronald Enright and our team, and bring your questions. And we are so grateful for the Unseen Realm. It's an amazing podcast that we're doing. So thank you so much. Thank you to Web Radio Network, and be sure to check out all the Web Radio Network shows because there's quite a few of them out there. And is there anything else anybody wants to say before we say goodnight?
It was a pleasure being on.
Thank you very much.
We want you back. We want you back,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Thank you.
Anytime.
All right.
Sounds good. I love you both so much.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you too.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.